Good evening. Hey, this is Tony Diaz, a libro traficante, author of The Tip of the Pyramid, Cultivating Community Cultural Capital. And tonight on our multi-platform broadcast, Nuestra Palabra is bringing you the definition of community cultural capital. And we're so glad that you're joining us on several of our different platforms. So this originates on social media. So perhaps you're watching it on the Nuestra Palabra, Latino Writers Have No Say Facebook page. We then edit the video, and that will air on fox26houston.com. We edit the audio, and that will air on one of our first platforms, KPFT 90.1 FM, your community station. And I do need to pause there and remind folks that KPFT 90.1 FM is a community station, so no commercials, no corporations subsidizing what we plan. That's why we can do great shows like this that delve into art, cultura, our community, our terms on our terms. So if you can, please do make a donation to KPFT in the name of Nuestra Palabra, Latino Writers Have No Say, so we can do our part to keep this amazing experiment in freedom of speech going. You can either go to kpft.org or call 713-526-5738. Today, we are celebrating the latest installment of Sin Muros, and they have got some exciting adaptations of what they've been doing. They're bringing in some new playwrights, some new community leaders, but also folks that you're used to hearing from and working with. So first and foremost, I want to say hi to a fellow libro traficante who is the director of the Sin Muros Festival. You're like, hey, I thought he was part of Nuestra Palabra. He is. Hey, I thought he was part of Tintero's project. He is. Hey, isn't he poet laureate? He's all of that. Pero también he's working on this awesome festival. And you can see what kind of car he drives right here in case you want to buy one. His name is Lupe Mendez. Hermano, thank you for joining us. And please accept todas las flores que te estamos tirando. And please tell us who you've got lined up for us today to talk about Sin Muros. And I know a lot of them, but I want to let you introduce them.
Do the things. Okay. Buenas tardes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, MP. Thank you, KPFT, for letting me hop in. So, in a nutshell, Sin Muros, a Latinx theater festival. This is the 6th iteration of the festival itself. From humble beginnings to major movements. In the 6 years that we've put on Sin Muros, I think we calculated that we've been able to put on a play reading theater festival that's provided funding and paycheck and support to well over like close to 300 to 400 local-based actors, producers, directors, ADs, etc., etc. In the 5 years previously, and as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty with this, our 6th year. Things that we've advanced in with this particular festival for this year, we've expanded several parts of the festival overall. It's now multifaceted. Like, we have teacher workshops, artist workshops, a playwriting workshop, an arts market that's a part of the festival, of course the play readings themselves, and opportunities for the public to join us beginning Thursday, May 25th through Sunday, May 28th. The festival is for all ages, as well as it's on a digital platform as well. One of our plays has been selected as a digital offering during the course of the festival. It will actually have a longer shelf life than the rest of the plays because it will be placed on Stage's YouTube channel for use for academic instruction for schools in the district, in the districts around the Houston area, so that they can use them for class to talk about the things that are necessary when it comes to what Texas voices look like, especially from such a rich background as Latinidad offers. Because of the fact that we're not a monolith, every year the changing and shifting movement of the festival, we consistently try to bring brand new, fresh voices to the festival, and this year is no exception. We are grateful for all the playwrights um, that are present within the festival,
Mhm.
and then all the artists that are coming on to that have auditioned and decided to take on parts of the play readings, and all the artists that are a part of the market. And so it's been a blessing to put this together. I've been coordinator. This will be my third year putting on the festival, and so it's been a total amazing whirlwind. Um, and then one added, not added, but the thing that always brings me the most heartfelt pleasure is being able to name uh, a artist or arts organization that has served the community and provide them with a tip of the hat and a prize in the form of the Premio Puente. And so every year we honor an artist or an arts organization that has been involved with the community, has provided their own legacy to interconnect everyone, even outside of theater, and then honor them during the festival. And so I'll allow any of the individuals that are also on the show with us tonight to introduce themselves by name. And some of these individuals are the playwrights themselves, and some of these individuals are the finalists for the Premio Puente, which we will be um, announcing the night that the festival kicks off on the 25th.
So Lupe, so how
Yeah.
about this? We've got the three finalists for the Premio Puente.
Yes.
Do me a favor, mention one more time. So it's at Stages Theater, and give the
Stages
dates again and the times.
Stages Houston, 800 Roseland is the location of the theater. You can hit stageshouston.org to get more info about the theater. The festival itself runs Thursday, May 25th through Sunday, May 28th. The website has all the dates and times. The way the festival works will be every play reading happens twice. So if you didn't get to see it on the night it premieres, you get to see it again a different night of the festival. And Gonzo, which I love Gonzo. Gonzo's so community. Gonzo is
Brilliant.
showing you what the website looks like on your
Love it.
phone. All the info's on there. My fat face is on
It's two
there.
Lupes. Double Lupe.
So all the info's on there. We're super grateful. Stages has collaborated with a lot of Latino artists and community leaders to allow us community to guide what this festival can look like. They basically for the week give us the keys to the house and tell us to wrap
Nice.
up. And so we're super grateful for that opportunity.
That's awesome. So why don't you introduce the three finalists who I know them all. That's a really great lineup, and I'm so glad that you are archiving their history, recognizing for the work that they do. I know they don't do it for recognition, but I'm glad that they're getting it. And then we'll have you talk to the folks that are from the teatro, and then we'll talk to the award winners. So Lupe, introduce the three finalists for the Premio Puente, who you will
So
then unveil that evening.
I'm gonna be real community and real honest. This is the first year that we've had enough community members on the committee that we actually got into a massive double digit in the selection process for the
Wow.
Premio Puente. We always hit like a max of 8 when we're discussing who gets the prize. And so we've never been at the position where we have the capacity to even name finalists. And I'm grateful that this year we hit a high double digit and we were able to like whittle it down to 3 individuals. And so our 3 finalists for the Premio Puente are Gonzo, 247, Ashley De Hoyos, and Denise Decolonize Lopez. Each of them major heavy hitters who have guided Latino arts across the city in a
Mhm.
multitude of capacities. And I'm super grateful that they all like accepted that we nominated them, and then were elated when we told them that they were finalists. And so it's been a real treat to see each of them. I'm really close friends with one, and I finally got to like hang out for a little while. Gonzo and I got to like have a really great conversation the other night at my closeout for Poet Laureate, and it was a great opportunity. And I'm a big fan of Ashley's curatorial work, and so yes, if the three of y'all could say hi, and we can talk a little bit of shop about what it means to be nominated.
And maybe we'll start with Ashley, if you want to say a few words. Hey, welcome to the show, Ashley. Great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tony. It's good to see you in this format. I know we're always behind tables and in communication and conversation about community things. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And tell me, I know you don't do this for recognition. You've been doing so much in so many different capacities. What does it mean to get nominated for this for you?
Oh, this is a huge honor. Someone who was raised by my grandparents, Amelia Contreras and Gilbert Contreras in Baytown, who really displayed a lot of service for their family and friends and their community. To be able to bring that into my curatorial practice and root it and understand what it means to create space for others, to uplift other voices. The nomination alone was really meaningful, and I think it came also at a really wonderful time where I've been thinking about my practice and what it means after being at Diverse Works for 5 years. And so to be recognized by peers from the field and artists, I think that's a huge takeaway, just being nominated and being able to celebrate the work that I've been doing and other community members have been doing.
What I do appreciate about what you do is you do participate at the high level of, and I call them corporate nonprofit, in that they're larger nonprofits that have infrastructure, but you're also still very much tapped into the community. So tell us a little about that balance. What does it look like for you? What are some of the challenges? And clearly there's benefits or payoffs for you.
Yeah, well, I can, growing up in Baytown and living in, Dayton, where my parents currently live, and being around Crosby, my beginnings are very humble. I was from a very different class than some of the individuals that I went to grad school with. I have a very different background. And so I try to remember where I started whenever I'm working in the galleries and who my audience is or who I want my audience to be. When I first got into art, I was almost embarrassed sometimes to bring family with me. And so that was something that I needed to work through. And I never want anybody who comes into the gallery feel like they're not seen or their work's not valid. And as a curator, I have that position to really think through aesthetics, conversation, helping uplift and share resources. And so while I straddle this world of having an MFA that brings me to the table of conversations where resources are shared, and then sharing those resources with or making sure other voices are uplifted that are not visible in the room is really important as part of my practice. I love when I'm able to bring someone into the gallery and it's their first time showing work in a space like that. Specifically when they may not have thought of themselves as an artist. I believe art is everywhere around us, and that it's really informed by our upbringing, and all of those values of aesthetics or our culture are really important to be in the conversation of the art historical canons and contemporary field.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Baytown in the house. That's what's up. Let's chat with Decolonize. Decolonize, great to see you. As always, you're always repping highest level of lit, but also very, very con mucho corazón in community components. Tell us about what you think this moment means for this recognition, but kind of where maybe the community is at for us to be able to celebrate all three of you at this time.
Sure. Thank you for having me, inviting me. I was surprised by being in the running. I was super surprised by being a finalist because the amount of people that I know in Houston that are doing work, that are creatives, and to be like, oh, okay, I stood out from that. And it's very true that like it was a reminder to me to like look up and realize sometimes that you have to stop and realize that your people are paying attention to the work and that they're connecting to the work. And so for me it's just great to people to say congratulations. And I told someone, they were like, congratulations. I'm like, I am always working so much and like just doing what I feel needs to be done that I don't stop to think about like awards or things like that. So it's really an honor. And I mean, just the people that are in the room, I don't know. I'm like, you like me, you really like me. That means a lot to me. As far as like, I think for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I have such a hard time waiting for permission. And so in the work that I do, I'm proud that I can teach people about how to do that for themselves, and kind of creating those worlds that are just for you. And like, we don't have to rely on other people to validate us all the time. We don't have to wait for them to give us permission, even give us money. We're very resourceful and we find the ways to do it, in ways that make sense to us and have us connected to culture, have us connected to ourselves in a spiritual way. And so I'm happy that that's worked for me, all this time. And it's great to be in the space that I am in radio and be able to show people what I've learned. And, you end up being like a mentor in so many ways and a guide in so many ways that you don't realize. Like, I'm just trying to give you guys information, but you end up meaning a lot to so many people. So it was kind of a reminder in all of that.
And you do so many different things. Like if you had a business card for each aspect, right, you'd have like a stack like this. But I do want to reflect so people can kind of understand the trade-off in that clearly you're an artist. However, you do all these other things. How much of your time that could just be your practice do you give up to do some of these other things? And why do you do that?
It's like most of it. I think really like in the last year, I've had to make myself stop and do my own work, and like be like, you have all these poems, you have all these things that need your attention. Like I thought about it the other day. You're always trying to figure out like a cool thing to write on your Instagram now that they have them little bubbles. And I was like, if I could just like cook for everybody all day, I'd be happy, like make food for people that I care about. But so it's most of it. I feel like my activism and my poetry I've had to integrate it into having a radio station and really realizing that it's a network and it's not a show, it's like a network and people come. And so yeah, I think I've definitely just recently been like, you've got to take some time and remember to work on your own things, especially because so many new people come along and, they're like, who are you? And I'm like, excuse me. I've been doing this work, but so, staying relevant, staying with the current and things is always a challenge, but, I've created a platform for other people to do those things. So I have to definitely remember to integrate myself. And I just got a website. I had to build it myself. And that's so hard. I build websites for a bunch of other people, but for myself, it was like, so yeah, the business card. I'm trying to figure out how to organize the little baby website,
And before we go to Gonzo, fellow broadcasters, give a shout out to your broadcast, and then also tell folks about your website too. Give the address, please.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder of All Real Radio. We are allrealradio.com. We're a 24/7 soul, hip hop, and R&B radio station. And right now we have about 20 shows that come on weekly, including my show.
Amazing.
Yeah. That is co-hosted by my partner Risky Serial, and that's Monday through Friday. We do the morning show. And of course, I have to give a shout out to my brother Zen, because I think so many of us wouldn't be here without his start of so many things at KPFT, at All Real Radio. And so, yeah, allrealradio.com, all social media at All Real Radio. And we have an app, it's free. You can listen to it anywhere in the world. And in June, we're going to be 9 years broadcasting 24/7. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And the third nominee for this amazing, what a great list of folks. Gonzo, great to see you again. I'm so happy that I've been able to run into you in the real 3D world, and really appreciate all that you do and have been doing. So you get many recognitions, not enough recognition, but how does this fit into what's going on in Houston, and what does it mean to you to be recognized for this from the Sin Muros Festival?
Well, first of all, thank you, Libro Traficante, Nuestra Palabra, Sin Muros, for the opportunity to be here right now, live with you all, and for the nomination. And honestly, like, to be in the top three, with Denise and Ashley, as crazy as it sounds, like being nominated with this group, I think I already feel like a winner. I think we're all already winners of the fact that we made it this far. So that in itself is already an honor. What else can you ask for? And I think for now, for today, it's funny what Denise and Ashley were saying just resonates with me, because I think, we all have our own paths in our own journey, but we share these same experiences. And a lot of times you think, you're siloed off thinking I'm the only one experiencing this. And it's always great when you hear other people speak and you start hearing it from other people's perspectives, and you're like, yo, like, yeah, I agree with what you just said, because I experienced it, this way or that way. And part of this nomination and what it means to me is a lot of times I do forget that people are watching what we are doing. Right. And a lot of times, well, I'll backtrack it. When I was a kid, there wasn't anyone for me to look up to. When I was a kid, there wasn't someone I could point at and say, yo, I see what they're doing. I want to do that. The only thing I had was this one mural by Leo Tanguma. I didn't know who he was. I never met him personally, but his artwork, the mural itself, inspired me to want to be an artist, knowing nothing else about it. My parents came from Mexico. They didn't know much about art, so it took a while for me to figure out who I am and how I fit into this, this world. But looking back, I realized the importance of art and the accessibility to art. Not everyone's parent can take time off of work to take them to an art gallery or a museum, or might not have the money to pay to get in. And for me, at an early age, I realized that the power of art on the street level, that's literally accessible and anyone can experience it. It was really important for me to be able to provide that for the next generation. Like one neighborhood or one mural in my neighborhood inspired a bunch of us kids to want to grow up to be artists. I figured what would have happened if that neighborhood had 2 murals or 3 murals? What would happen if the city had 100 murals? And that really sparked this journey of like, how much street art or how much work can we put in the public realm that's easily accessible? And now more than ever, I feel like this nomination really just drives that point home of like, what we do is important, whether we realize that people are really paying attention, or whether we realize that people are actively kind of like looking for inspiration and for role models. This kind of really does help, solidify that what we do is important, and sometimes we have to realize and come up for air and be like, oh yeah, okay, let's make more of this happen. So it's inspiring, makes you want to do even more.
Well, that's a great way to put it, because I think even just the act of creating the award, Lupe and all the folks at stages and the folks that are impulsando este movimiento de Sin Muros, they're pausing to consecrate this award, which demands that we stop, draw attention, understand our power, because there is power to say, here are things that should be recognized. And along those same lines, what I love is that you mentioned Mexican-American history, Chicano history, because that Tanguma mural, I remember you helped bring it back from being evaporated from our history. I remember watching the award, the commemoration of it, and on a street where it was, when people thought it was derogatory, they were trying to insult us by calling us Chicano. Here were the words Chicano ringing from the speakers, and here was this mural brought back to life. So I want to ask you, because in your work, it's visual art, it's street art, it's Mexican American studies, it's Chicano history. You hang out with the writers. Is it important to you to combine all those things in all the work that you do?
For me, I learned again, like Leo Tengumo's mural had one little ribbon that says, the quote. Very very little text was in it, and as a kid, I didn't when I didn't know how to read, visually I could understand a lot more, and I understood the power of art. A lot of times, people might not be able to read English, or people might not be able to read at all, and the power of visual arts to be able to communicate themes and messages and inspiration with without even having to speak anything, I think is powerful. That being said, then you can have the double power, the wonderful and thunderful of including text and including inspiration poets or writers, and be able to use that in context with the visual to make a even bigger impact. But I think the creative energy that you can put out there really does go out, and it touches the people that need that inspiration at that moment.
Fantastic. Thank you for all that. And I want to bring it back to Lupe Mendez. Speaking of creative energy, of course, el movimiento de Sin Muros comenzó como un festival de teatro. So tenemos tres teatristas con nosotros. Please introduce them, and we'd love to hear from them on what they're planning to presentar. Y claro, if you're having fun now, these are just some of the folks, the intelligentsia, the intellectuals, the cool folks you're going to meet when you go to stages, and they're going to run the joint. So no es que va a ser un party, pero claro, buena. Lupe, tell us about the rest of the crew.
And so the way the festival works is we open up the submission process, and we keep the idea of Texas-rooted Latino theater at the forefront. And so all the individuals that get to submit are rooted to Texas in some way. Their work mentions someplace in Texas. They themselves grew up in the state. They've studied here, et cetera, et cetera. And so this year, two of the playwrights that have been selected, Ricardo Davila and David Davila. Ricardo has his play, Parts Per Million and Profits, has been selected. And then David Davila's play, Hotel Puerto Vallarta, a legitimate work of dramatic theater, are two of the selections for this year. And so we're super thankful they said yes. Reading through their plays, selecting the plays every year, it's a blessing and a curse, because it's rough. Like, we sit and we spend a while like talking through, what do we want the festival to look like, what voices are represented, what freshness can we put together by putting it this way. And so we're super grateful that they both said yes to being a part of the festival. And so, gentlemen, please, you can chime in whenever you'd like. Yes.
Let's start with Ricardo, because he's at the top of my screen. Ricardo, say the name of your work several times, and then tell us, what does this mean for you as a playwright to get to present your work at stages for Sin Muros?
Yeah. Hi. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Ricardo. So the play that I wrote is called Parts Per Million and Profits. I wrote this. I moved to Houston last summer in June, but previously I had been working. I'm an actor primarily, and I was here doing a show at Alley Theater. And it was while I was here that I started writing this play that, writing sometimes can be very tedious and very, just very laborious, but sometimes it also just sort of flows out of you for whatever reason. And this is one of those that just kind of like wanted to come out, and I just sort of followed that impulse. But what it means to be part of the festival, I mean, it's a huge blessing. You know, I feel very honored. It's my first time getting a play that I've written
So
workshopped.
cool. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm still very green as a writer. So I kind of recognize the gift that this is, to have the resources and to have a group of actors sort of like collectively come together in a room and present in front of an audience. So I'm very, very grateful, both for the opportunity to exercise my abilities as a writer, and to get the experience of workshopping something, and to have the experience of putting it out in front of in public and sort of seeing what the response is, because so much of their response, I think, is going to shape the future of this piece. And also because the nature of the piece itself, you know, I started writing after grad school. I did undergrad and grad school for acting. So that's sort of like my first love. But
Where did you study? Where did you study?
I did my bachelor's at NYU and grad school at the Yale School of Drama.
Dang. I'm glad Houston stole you. You came.
Yeah. And so I graduated, you know, and you know, you kind of get hit with sort of the reality of the industry. And not that I had tremendous luck and good fortune kind of coming out of school, but you also are hit with sort of the reality that there's a lot of downtime in between the acting work, and how do you sort of maintain fulfilled creatively. And I think also it was also kind of born out of I graduated in 2017, and then that September was like Hurricane Maria, and I'm Puerto Rican, and that was just sort of like that was just like an existential moment for me that just like threw me into a deep depression. And you know, I think much like a hurricane was a moment of rebirth. And I think when the practice of my writing really started picking up. But I still didn't know what my voice is or what it is that I wanted to say. And it took me a bit to sort of like write a few sort of short things, and then be able to kind of like look back at them and see what I had written, to realize that I had a very strong affinity or interest or curiosity connection to ecology and nature and issues surrounding climate change, biodiversity. And I think probably maybe more essentially is just really trying to write for the sake of addressing this rift that has existed for way too long between our species as human beings and the rest of the natural world, and this sort of lie that we've been living under, that we are somehow separate, and that somehow gives us a feeling of superiority to the detriment of every other sort of like form of life. So that's kind of where my writing is born out of. So I'm also excited because it's an opportunity to finally kind of put those ideas out in front of people and see if maybe, you know, my hope is to, I guess, inspire people to develop a bit more of a personal and intimate relationship with their natural surroundings, and to kind of see the world as a relative, I feel like we all did prior to this sort of like wave of colonization that has wreaked havoc on this planet. So yeah, that's me, I guess.
That's really cool. So we're looking forward to Ricardo's Parts per Millions and Profits, which will estrenarse. So this is your North American debut for your work. You've been on stage, so we hope people can come and enjoy that. And I'm very proud that Houston has that role in your history. And we're gonna come back later and ask Lupe. We'll put him on the spot and say what he liked about both of your obras. We'll give him a little time to calibrate his answer. And then David, welcome to the show, and congratulations on having your piece presented. Say the name of your piece a bunch of times, and what does it mean for you to have your work presented at stages during Sin Muros?
Sure. Well, can you hear me, first of all?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Perfectly.
It's so loud here. I'm like in a Starbucks parking lot. Cracker Barrel behind me. I'm in Commerce, Texas. Oh, see how loud the trucks?
Commerce, Texas? What are you doing there? I love it.
Driving through. Actually, talking about what it means to me, I'm actually just really, really grateful. Because I have a lot of family in Houston that, for one, has never seen any of my work.
Wow.
And two, my uncle died 2 nights ago.
Oh, you have our condolences.
Thank you. In Houston. And the funerals in Houston, all my so it actually means a lot that I'm I'm gonna be here for that. I'm driving down right now. It just feels like this was somehow, meant to be, that I would get to be here for all of this. So yeah.
And where do you live? But where do you live?
I'm sort of all over the place. I've lived in New York for 12 years, but I'm currently finishing up an MFA fellowship in Indiana, but I don't really like to say I live in Indiana. I thought that out in Indiana.
You're driving from Indiana to Houston?
Yes.
Oh my, you get the point. Oh yeah, y'all got it. Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all Houstonians, I mean, we're also going to have this on the podcast, so folks from all over will live. Houstonians, este hermano is driving from Indiana. I used to drive from Chicago to Houston, which was 24 hours. That's even further. So we got to, just to support you just for that. So, oh my goodness.
Well, so anyway, I'm just honored for that. I'm thankful for this opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I've applied a bunch to this festival. I don't know if they finally said, "Oh, give him one, bring him over 1 year." I have a lot of plays, so I've probably send one every year, and for some reason they like this one, which is this play is called. God, you're so loud, birds. This play is called Hotel Puerto Vallarta. Hotel Puerto Vallarta. That's Hotel Puerto Vallarta. And it is, it's a comedy. I wrote it during the pandemic just because, honestly, I just wanted some joy. So it's a farce. It's a really, 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 really stupid farce about drag queens in Puerto Vallarta, which is everyone knows is a big gay destination in Mexico. So, it's crazy, slamming doors, mistaken identities, naked men running around. And I really just intended this to be fun, which is why the title has the little subtitle, a legitimate work of dramatic theater, because it is not a legitimate work of dramatic theater. But I think it did end up being a legitimate work of dramatic theater, especially with what's going on in politics right now with the scapegoating of drag and trans people, and it becoming such a unnecessarily a political agenda to distract from what's actually going on in the world, and which is very concerning for me. And it's happening in Texas too, right? And Tennessee and all over. So I don't know how this silly, stupid, harmless play can end up being a political play that I did not intend to write. Very political plays about other political things. But I really honestly just wrote it to be something joyful, to be a celebration of queer love, of the creation of queer families. And that's honestly what it's about. I mean, these people who have to find families with other queer people. And in the play, the hotel comes into threat of being bought by developers and closed down, and they have to come up with a crazy scheme to save the hotel. I mean, it's really just a stupid
gentrification
classic stupid plot. But in the end, it is about love and queer families and acceptance and where you find joy and home. So yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful that they're bringing me in right now. It really does like, whew, I'm so glad that I'm going to be in Houston for with my family during this time. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that you're doing a live drop in there's the Commerce, Texas, and it sounds like you try to run as far away from politics as possible. You're like, I'm going to make this screwball farce, and you ran right into all the political issues that Texas is examining, and it needs your play. Y mira, there's from the bottom of my heart and the whole crew, we give you our condolences. We know you're taking it in pride, and obviously esta obra va a ser algo poderoso para tu familia. So thank you for making us part of your familia. We know that Houston va a tirar flores y apoyarte, and we're very happy to have you here. Lupe, what did you love about these plays? So te cansó, David te cansó. You're like, oh yeah.
The one thing I will say about the 4 plays is that when we say that we're doing the work to find unique and refreshing ideas about Latino theater, we're also talking about we keep hitting on the touchstone that Latinidad isn't a monolith. Like, we all come from very vastly different threads, and selecting the playwrights for this year and their plays, we looked at what were the topics and the themes that they were toying with. And we looked at the concept that in the landscape of what it means to tell these histories and these stories is that the unique thing becomes the political thing, becomes the universal thing. It is to talk about the natural connections to environment and the way hurricanes exist. We're at the doorstep, right? Like, the threaded connection between Ricardo's play and our understanding of hurricanes and tropical storms here, we're familiar with it. And so it's that shared line. And with David's play, we had already had a conversation we're not the only theater putting together shows and concepts that are both celebratory and comical. Main Street Theater was just in the news because they put together their kids show for James and the Giant Peach, and apparently that turned into a big brouhaha because several of the characters in the play other gendered individuals, and it caused conservative school districts to cancel their ticketed showings for students because of all the politicization of what this is and is not. Like, James and the Giant Peach has been a play for Main Street for a decade. Like, other people have put it on. It is not a thing, right? And at the same time, we look at David's play, Hoto Puerto Vallarta, and it is brilliant. It's funny, and we look at it and say, we need that light. Like, we need that levity. We need that joy. And that's exactly what he said. And so those are the elements that we're looking at. And the one of the uniqueness of our play festival is also it gives the playwrights that we're working with a chance to meld and mold and experiment and see what is it that the voices and the characters and the stories are saying in a low-key, low-stakes kind of way. Because it's a play reading, they get to revamp and look at what the play is doing up until and even after we've done the estreno and the play reading itself. And so several of the playwrights that have worked with us before, they've gone on to tour their plays, their version of the plays that they've run with us from the festival on. Some of them have been award-winning plays themselves. And so we, both Stages and C Muros, the committee, we are super grateful that they take a chance on us. And we're super grateful that we get to be able to be a notch on the progressive belt that they get to toy with and brainstorm for their future work. Like, it's us polishing that brightness and to make it, beam even better.
You know what, Lupe, though? I'm glad you mentioned this, the censorship culture that's going on, especially how it's affected mainstream theater. And I know a lot of the art community, maybe they're disillusioned, frustrated, overwhelmed by all this. But I also want to point out that our job is to keep creating art. And I think that's such a powerful way to engage our communities, inspire each other, especially right now, so that we're not discouraged. And it's a beautiful thing to do. So do me a favor, Lupe. Give out again the website, the dates, the times, and so that people will go and run there.
So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on the radio, please come to Stages Houston. The theater is 800 Roseline. You can go to stageshouston.org to get more info. You can, I think they're on social media at Stages Houston. You can get all the info. The Play Festival happens beginning Thursday, May 25th, 7:30 on. Will the full estreno of the night will present the Premio Puente that night we'll highlight the nominees and present the winner of the prize. We've collaborated with Tintero Projects, and there will be a poet at every estreno for every play.
Awesome.
The Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. We have poets that are presenting a poem based on the plays just before the play readings happen. It's a practice we've done since the beginning. Cool. It'll be a really, really great opportunity. And the plays happen Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday day, and Saturday night, and then also matinee showings on Sunday. And so we're super grateful to you, Tony, and to Nuestra Palabra for having us here. We're super excited to get everything going. Beginning the 20th is actually like the beginning brouhaha. Like we're doing the background part and getting all of the actors and ADs, directors, and everybody so that we can kind of begin setting the stage. Monday, we have a little powwow for ourselves to kind of get in the mix and talk. And then rehearsals begin Monday, the 22nd, and the lights go up. Staged readings occur Thursday night, and it's a full 4 days of happy madness at Stages. And so we're super grateful. And por favor, únense con nosotros and join us for this amazing opportunity.
Fantastic. I want to thank all of you for being generous with your time. Each one of you, we could do like a 1-hour profile on each of you. So I appreciate all of you coming, being so gracious with your time, sharing the mic. And people, we can't even fit all the talent we got into 1 hour. Okay. So come, disfruten. I want to thank the nominees for this year's Puente Award, Decolonize, Ashley de Hoyos, Gonzo, our dear friends. And then our new friends that have some amazing teatro they're going to share. Ricardo Dávila, David Dávila, ustedes con todo corazón, bienvenidos a nuestra familia. And then, of course, El Mero Mero, he's dangerous. He's got a dangerous mind. Lupe Mendez, been part of the crew for so long. We're happy to support all that you do. And I got a shout out to some of our other crews behind the scene. Roxana Guzman, who is our multi-platform producer. Rodrigo Bravo, who's our audio engineer. And then, of course, all the Libro Traficantes. Again, if you tune into KPFT 90.1 FM, we hope that you'll take this time to make a donation in the name of Nuestra Palabra, Latino Writers Having Their Say, by either visiting kpft.org or calling 713-526-5738. I'm Tony Diaz, Libro Traficante. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to see you at Sin Muros. Bye.